All right, it's 9 o'clock. Hi, everyone. My name is Anup Dawar. I'm the Vice President of Product Management here at GitLab. And welcome to the final release kickoff call for 2020. As we bid goodbye to 2020, I wanted to acknowledge how hard this year has been for many of us. And to be honest, personally, I'm blessed to be surrounded by the amazing team members here at GitLab and the async by default culture that has made it possible for me to have less stress and focus on my friends and family during these hard times. As I look back, I am in awe of this amazing R&D organization and the community for what we have accomplished over the last year. So I quickly want to share a couple of things with all of you. Starting with, if I can get my screen ready. Yeah, there we go. Starting with a couple of things that show what the team has done over this year. So if you can look at this, this shows us the features by stage as a single platform for the entire DevOps lifecycle. We and the community have to continue to make progress on various stages, and you can see there's been amazing progress across all the stages of the DevOps lifecycle, from verify, secure, release, protect, plan, package, monitor, configure, create, enable, and of course, growth enablement and management. The other thing that's super interesting is how we have contributed to the broader community and to the monetized tiers. So this shows the number of features and improvements that went into core, starter, premium, and ultimate. And I love the fact that we have been able to do this across all the tiers. And finally, there have been 2,687 merge requests contributed by the community in year to date, even during this difficult time. So I want to thank the entire community for living with us and embracing the everyone can contribute value. For the rest of the call, I just want to start off with saying that we'll start with secure and defend stage, followed by enablement. And then Kenny and Eric will walk us through ops and dev. As usual, we plan ambitiously. So what we are trying to do for this January 13.8 release may not happen, but we try really hard to make it happen. With that, take it away.
Thank you, Anup, and happy holidays to everyone from the SEC section. I, this morning, finally realized there was a use for my pandemic beard, and it was to make sure you all have a safe and happy holiday season. So with that, let's hop into the updates. So first, we'll start off with the secure stage. From a stack analysis standpoint, we're going to continue to improve the merge request experience for non-ultimate users. On this release, we're going to be focused on exposing the ability to download the JSON report directly from the merge request view, where you have the bar with the overall scanning results. Also within the stack analysis team, they're focused on also making it easier to adopt within the, adopt SAST within the core and free tier. With that, we're actually aiming for all users the security and compliance menu. Users will get this nice carousel to see screenshots of what Ultimate or Gold looks like. And then finally, because SAST is in core, they'll just be able to click Enabled Merge Request and SAST will be enabled. From the fuzz testing side, we are wrapping up the work for the corpus management component for coverage guided fuzzing. I expect to see that roll out. We've been talking about it incrementally over the last couple of release kickoffs. Also, this one I'm very excited about. We're beginning to start on the process of bringing the Peach protocol fuzzer engine to the open source community. It has not been available open source in many years. The last known version is actually probably about this point 7 or 8 years old. The team is beginning the investigation to break the core engine out so we could then make the professional version of Peach available to the community. So very excited about that. And then finally, the post testing team is also working on adding their own UI configuration, similar to what we've seen come out in SAST. Here's a screenshot of what that looks like. Again, you'll be able to set your configurations for your API fuzzing, including all of options that are advanced. And then finally, on the secure side, some updates from Threat Insights. The final component of our work of enabling the ability to create JIRA issues directly from standalone vulnerability will be shipping in the upcoming release. We're very excited about this. Of course, we want people to be using Plan, but we do understand some customers are using JIRA. So we want to be able to support you in being able to track your vulnerabilities safely, as well as give you the path to move over to our Plan offering. Also, the ability to filter by the vendor name on your vulnerability report. Here's a screenshot of what that would look like. So today you can only select the type of scanner. You'll have the ability to obviously GitLab and all of our scanners. But if you're using a third-party scanner as part of our security integration, you'll be able to filter by that result. So give you an example, Checkmarks is one of our integration partners, and they would have SAST. And here at the bottom would say Checkmarks, and you would see SAST there for you to select. The team's also working on bulk vulnerability updates. And what this will allow you to do is not just do what you do today to select them and set a state, but also be able to get in there and add a comment as to why you're changing the state. And then finally, from the secure side, we started working on this a couple months ago on when we're ready to start looking at initial integrations with it, but our new generic report schema. This will allow us to not only make it easier to onboard partners who want to be able to have their scans run a part of our DevSecOps workflow, but it will also allow us to be able to begin to extend what we can report from our own scanners. This is going to add a lot of flexibility that's not there today. And I'm personally excited about this because I know the team's been working very hard on getting it defined and begin rolling it out. On the protect side, one thing that I think is very exciting. Oh, I should also mention this because this is also very exciting. Vulnerability management switched to viable maturity this month. That's a testament to the hard work of the team, our customers' adoption of it, and so forth. So if you've not seen vulnerability management in a long time, please check it out. And with that, for Protect, the main thing I want to focus on is we're going to be taking security orchestration, our new category, to minimal with a January release. The focus is going to be on the ability to schedule DAS scans to run on demand. So here's a snapshot of what that would look like. Within that same policy view you use today for your container host security, container network security settings, you have the ability to add a policy for DAS. Once you're in the policy, you can see here, you have the ability to schedule when it will run. And then you will define the scan profile that will be used. What I really like about this is on the screen, you can see it's highlighted in red. That means there's actually no profile created, and you can click on that and create that in line. To wrap up here, before I hand it over to Josh, it's that time of year. It's not just the time to put ornaments in your beard and look silly on a company call, but it's also the time to start giving you some heads up on some of our deprecations in 14.0. So we already mentioned WAF, and I'll continue to update you on them as we finally define them. But one I wanted to highlight on this call was we're removing the unsupported variables for DAST out of the configuration. And going forward, you'll need to be using the supported environment variables. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Josh, and everyone, have a good holiday.
Thanks, David. Those are some awesome updates on Secure and Protect. I will be taking us through the enablement section, and let's jump into it first off on the usage and usability features. The first one here is what we're working on. It's called maintenance mode. And you might be wondering why this is interesting for usability, but there are some situations when admins need to perform operations on their instance, and currently what they have to do is take it offline to prevent further changes. And what we're working on here is providing them with a tool such that they can shift the instance into read-only mode, and then users can still clone repositories, pull container images, browse issues, and things like that. One example scenario for here is that if you have a planned failover from your primary to secondary, you want to make sure that you have a complete and up-to-date copy on your secondary
as replication can take a few minutes. Now, if you have a constant stream of activity coming into your primary, it can be hard to know when you can do that. And so now we can make it easy to simply set it into read-only mode, wait a few minutes for the synchronization to complete, fail over, and then disable read-only mode, and you now have a working instance again. And so this is providing a much more seamless experience for our users for instances like these. We're also working to track the frequency of Git operations on geo secondaries. We've been putting a lot of work into disaster recovery, but we want to start working on improving the experience of geo-replication, which is where you can use GitLab instances to improve the performance of users across the world and not have to have them go all the way through the internet to your primary. And so right now, you just have to intentionally use it in some scenarios. And so we are working to improve the experience. And what we want to do is establish a baseline of activity so we can confirm that the changes we're making are actually improving the adoption and usability of geo-replication. And so this will help us do that, and it'll help us build a better experience as we can confirm that the changes we're making are indeed, again, positive. So excited for that. Next up, we are continuing our work on OpenShift under new markets. We've been working on this for a few releases now, and we are continuing our efforts. We did a lot of great work in 13.7. We've retired a lot of the risk. And so we have been able to have our first service essentially built out using our operator model and establishing all the supporting tools and services. And we're also been able to have our first container image as well certified through the Red Hat process. And so now the work in 13.8 is to go through and add additional services to the operator and additional container images for certification. And so if all those go well, we can have this available in beta in 13.8, which would be fantastic. From there, we're also working on some single platform improvements. We are working to have content-specific indexes for our Elasticsearch index. And so right now, they're all in one common index. And the impact is that we can't tune and optimize the indexing per content type. And so code is indexed similarly to the language and the text in an issue. This is less than ideal. And by breaking them out, we can improve performance, but also we can tune the indexing to match the content type and add additional filtering options, as well as overall do a better job of returning you the results that you're looking for. We're also working to add support for what we call Patroni, but this is enable us to allow geosecondaries to have multi-node databases. The reason this is important is that if you want to fail over unplanned from your primary to your secondary, you want to be able to have your secondary able to handle the load of your primary. And so if you have a multi-node database in your primary, you want to have that on your secondary as well, and this will let you do that. And to wrap things up here on memory and database, we are continuing to work on reducing the overall memory consumption of GitLab. We've identified a number of key areas for us to focus on, and we'll these. You can see a few examples of them here around things like GraphQL and our impact of our monitoring services and other tools. The goal is to overall make GitLab more efficient and make it easier to run it in memory-constrained environments and on smaller instances. From there, we're also working to improve the development experience for the broader GitLab community by offering developers with access to production-like data. Database changes take a long time to plan, to test, to validate for maintainers that they are safe. And so we want to improve this experience for the community and increase the velocity of these database changes and also make them safer, right? And being able to test on production-like data will help developers reduce the number of cycles they have to go through for maintainer review, and also hopefully better tune their queries for performance against, again, common real kind of more like real-like data here in production. And so the overall goal, again, is to increase velocity and also make those changes safer in production. So that's the exciting features we have here coming for enablement. I will pass it over to Eric to talk about all the amazing things coming in the dev section.
Thanks so much, Josh. I thought my Christmas game was strong, but compared to David, I have some work to do. It's great to see all of you, and I'm excited to talk to you about what the dev section has in store for 13.8. As always, we've kind of bucketed our our things into two big themes. The first is new features, and our second theme is usability. With respect to new features, I'm really excited that we're finally going to get to this feature, which is allowing group owners to define compliance pipeline configurations at the group level. This is really important, especially for those customers that have organizational policies or are regulated by some sort of legislation, to have separation of duties between multiple people in the organization, whether that's the compliance team and developers or some other teams. So what this is essentially going to allow you to do is to have a group and then have a compliance project with a compliance template, and then a developer project with a compliance framework label attached to it with its own pipeline. And then when the pipeline gets executed for this project, you'll have a combined pipeline for both of these projects, allowing for segregation of duties between the compliance team and the development team. So in order to actually accomplish this, though, we have to do two specific things. The first one is we have to support project variables in an include section of the GitLab CI.yaml. So we'll be working and delivering that. And the second one is that we need to add a specific predefined environment variable to essentially add those pipelines in. This will essentially allow people to use what we previously have called forced includes by providing specific compliance templates in the pipeline at the group level. So really, really exciting stuff, and should help a ton of regulated customers to provide that experience right inside of the pipeline. The next big thing that we're going to be focusing on is essentially providing a parity experience on GitLab.com with self-managed instances for settings that are at the instance level. On .com today, you don't have access to these, but we're working slowly to essentially move these settings into the group level and then provide a mechanism to have those settings cascade down in your groups. So we're going to execute a proof of concept to start experimenting with how cascading of settings without instance level access would work. And so we're going to do this by starting with a very, very simple setting, which is a delayed project deletion as a test case, and then expand this to more and more use cases. This is a really fundamental piece of making that experience to be at parity between .com and self-managed. And then the last new feature I want to highlight, and this is likely going to ship in 13.9 to be in users' hands, is Epic Boards. And I talked about this last time, but I want to highlight just all the hard work that this team is doing to get Epic Boards into the application. And so in 13.8, there's going to be a whole lot of preparation work, as you can see in this Epic. There's been a really nice breakdown of this particular work. So a lot of work's going to happen in 13.8, getting us to Epic Boards, and then we'll likely see this feature ship in 13.9. With respect to usability, there's so many great improvements, and as the dev section, we have so many users, so it's really important for us to focus on usability. So I'm just going to run through a whole bunch of these, which should really make your experience inside of GitLab much more delightful. The first one is that we're going to allow group owners to bypass SSO enforcement. This is important because we've had multiple cases where group owners will essentially accidentally lock themselves out via a misconfiguration in SAML and having turned on that enforcement with SSO. And when that happens, they have to contact GitLab support to help them unlock their accounts so they can even log back in. So we want to allow group owners to bypass this, allowing for a little bit more self-service recovery. If you're a user of our value stream analytics feature, you probably are using it to manage your cycle times and understand various issues in various stages throughout the analytics lifecycle. And we want to shift this, the data in this feature to be a table. And what this will allow you to do is to sort it and filter it, and for it to be a common experience in other places throughout the application. Quite a while back, we shipped a not operator so that you can filter issues with saying, hey, I want all the issues in a specific milestone, but not assigned to me or not assigned to someone else. And then and so that's been a great experience, and we want to expand that experience by shipping an or operator so that you can say, hey, I want all of the issues assigned to me or someone else on my team, as a way of potentially pairing or another use case like that. And so excited to see this one come on board. I know that a lot of people are asking for this particular filter option. We have what are called quick actions inside of the application, which are essentially accessed via a quick slash in an issue description. But it's often hard to understand or discover what quick actions are available to you. And when you type / you just see like the top 5 quick actions, but there's also a ton more. You have to read documentation to figure out what they are. So we're going to essentially expand this modal to make it scrollable so that you can understand what all the quick action options are to you when you start typing that / command in an issue comment. Our requirements management team is going to continue iterating on this feature by providing a basic export of requirements. Last release, we provided an import of requirements via CSV. Now we're going to provide an export. This is essentially completing the full round trip of allowing an import from a legacy requirements management tool, satisfying those requirements via CI jobs, and then exporting them to prove to whoever needs to see them that requirements have been satisfied right inside of GitLab. One great improvement our source code team is going to make is the ability to show which merge request was a squashed or merge commit came from. So today we already link merge requests and commits, but we don't do it in 2 cases, where 1, where a MR is squashed, and 2, for the merge commit itself. So by making this link, it'll be much clearer which merge request a particular commit was linked to. We're also going to continue iterating on our VS Code extension. In previous releases, we released the ability to view issues and merge requests inside of VS Code. And now we want to show comments on changed file diffs inside of VS Code. What this will allow is for developers to essentially execute a code review right inside of the VS Code tool. So meeting developers where they are, where they would make changes. Now we're going to bring comments there, making that a great experience. Our team has also been hard at work at improving the settings and navigation experience of GitLab, and we're going to start by making an improvement by executing a proof of concept to add in-page search to a project's general settings. If you go to a project settings today, there's a ton of settings, and some of them are embedded in various subdirectories, and it can be hard to find what you're looking for. So we're just going to add a simple search box. This is a proof of concept, and we're going to figure out the best way to provide project settings search. And then lastly, we are continuing to make improvements to our Jira integrations, and in particular, our Jira Connect app. In this release, in a few days, we're going to release the ability to send build and pipeline information and deployment information to the Jira Connect app. And in 13.8, we're going to display feature flag information through the Jira Connect app. So this will essentially round out all the information that the Jira Connect app allows us to send, providing a great experience of all of your GitLab data inside of Jira. As always, there's so many more great things coming from the dev section, but I can't get to all of them because of time. I wish you all a very happy holidays and Merry Christmas. And Kenny, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. And I agree, we all need to step up our Christmas game after David. My name is Kenny. I'm the director of covering the ops section. I wanted to walk through, first of all, a reminder about what is covered within the ops section, 5 stages, 8 groups within these. There's lots of great content. Specifically, if you're interested in our verify capabilities, we have a lot of upcoming work around parent-child pipelines and pipeline authoring, and a vision for where our pipeline authoring and template include experience is going to be going. I would encourage you to watch those videos. There's great overview by the product managers and designers in those groups. I wanted to specifically highlight with my time here a kind of overarching concept that I want to make sure any user, customer of GitLab understands, and that's that at GitLab, when we talk about usage and usability, we're really talking about sweating the details. We're looking for little things that would improve your efficiency and your workflow so that you can get your job done much more easily with GitLab. So I'm going to highlight just a couple of these in these slides, but as I mentioned, this happens all throughout all groups in our product. The first one is our pipeline success emails. We've started sending notices to users about the success or failure of their pipeline. One thing we noticed is that users often had trouble distinguishing between a success or a failure because the word success or failure was buried later on in the message. And so what we are going to be doing in this iteration is moving that, was it successful or was it failed, to the first word. Those are the little things that help you get to what you need to action from a notification really quickly. The second is we recently added support for managed Terraform state, and you can list your state files in this overview that gives you a kind of table of all the different state files within your project. what we heard from users is that there was a kind of very frequent process of drilling into each individual state and then taking an action there. So we'll be adding a kind of triple dot action notification to perform common actions right here from this table view on the managed Terraform states that you've added to GitLab. The next item is that previously you would have to go retrieve the artifact from a job in a CI pipeline by going to the specific job. And now we're going to be surfacing the downloadable artifact from the merge request pipeline right in the top level merge request view, saving you a couple of clips, not having to go into the individual pipeline view to download your artifact. And then lastly, we're going to be, we've been adding a lot of improvements in our package stage around enabling you to set kind of cleanup enforcement policies. And what we heard from users is that, okay, I created this policy, I think it's right, but I would really like to know before I push execute and potentially do some destructive action, am I doing what I intended it to do? And so we're going to be designing and implementing the experience for taking that expiration policy and giving you a dry run experience of what that would actually mean in your environment before you're really sure that you want to start enforcing it. Those are some of the examples of the usability improvements that we're working on, but I also want to highlight some of the single platform capabilities. In the 13.7 release, Kickoff and will be shipped on the 22nd of this month, we added the ability to get API support for your deployment analytics. And in 13.8, we're going to be adding the ability to see those deployment analytics in your CI/CD analytics dashboard. We're specifically going to be separating between your pipeline and deployment analytics with this tabular view, so you can get a quick view of how frequently you're deploying, what the deployment frequency has been over time in recent periods, and which pipelines are failing or succeeding when performing deployments. Again, as I mentioned, this is there is a lot of great content from the teams in their videos. I would highly encourage you to watch them. As others noted, happy holidays, and thank you for all of your support through the course of 2020. Anoop, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Kenny. Wow, 13.8 is going to be an amazing New Year gift. I can already feel it. Have a healthy and happy holidays wherever you are, everyone, and we'll see you in the new year. Bye.